I'm Lars. Welcome back to the shop, or back to our house at the moment. Susan and I were out last night and we got a text from our daughter that there was no water at our house. So we get home, we check our well line, check the system. It's got 6 red lights flashing. And we're like, okay, let's go check out the well. And everything's connected. We took the nuts off, and the wires were not twisted together. Okay, they were just laying there in the nuts, and the nuts were a little loose. So we thought, well, maybe that's the issue, because everything else looked fine. So we tightened up all the nuts, put it back together, flipped the breaker back on, and pump seemed fine for a little bit. Went to use the water, and it just kind of dribbled out, and then it stopped. So I went downstairs, turned off the circuit breaker, went back outside, took the well back apart. Started looking at it. It was starting to get dark out, so we really couldn't tell what was going on. Luckily, I have some of this stuff called liquid electrical tape. So we take the well back apart, and the wire going to the well pump has got a break in it, because there's the wire going down to the pump and then there's the wire going to the house. So old Susan turned the electric back on, and me and my daughter stood out here and just started watching sparks and smoke and fire coming out of our well. And so told Susan turn it back off, turned it back off. We got some flashlights, started looking at the lines really close. Had to cut back some of the tape, and I'll show you that as we get this thing pulled back. Down the line, the wire got hot, and we had to put some electrical tape on it because it was grounding out across onto the ground. So one of the leads was grounded on the ground, and this sort of thing does happen on time. So 17 years ago, we were building our house, and we had electrical dropped, and the guy from the electric company came in and cut right through our water line and cut right through our electrical cable. Now, we weren't home when this happened. We weren't here. We were on vacation. It was like our last vacation before we really got started on everything. And one of our neighbors called the electric company and said, hey, you guys just did this, whatever. Ended up, he found a number of the plumber who put our well in. That guy came out, and instead of replacing the wire and replacing the water line, so this is one of the big peeves at me about not taking shortcuts. They patched it. Okay, so about 2 years later, we had no water in our house. So we ended up, and there was a big flood out here, right out here in our backyard. So what's happened is every time we turned the water on, the pump was just continually running, and it was pushing just water up. So we had to kill that, hand dig all this stuff back up. We called one of the guys that we know that works with the plumbing company, and he came out and he looked at it and goes, huh. And I was like, why didn't you guys replace this line? Because they just put a patch in it. So long story comes to short, making the story shorter here. We did patch that again, and we trust him, and the patch has held ever since, okay? Because we actually did it right. We put tube inside, connected it, glued it, everything else, and that was fine. However, the electrical cable at that time, we saw it was just taped up with a bunch of tape. Whoever did it, I don't know if it was a quick hack job or whatever, and they were going to come back and fix it. Nobody ever did. So we had to run another wire out, and all we had was indoor wire. And basically, we kind of forgot about it, right? We kept on telling ourselves here and there, hey, we got to replace that wire. But as you see on the channel, we have all these projects that are coming up. So today we're going to be replacing that wire. So if you're in for this journey to figure out, to learn how to replace a wire, I will show you everything about this liquid tape, about how it is very beneficial to have a can of this laying around your house for any kind of nicked wire. It will get you through permanently through some things. I always recommend replacing wires when they are nicked, but this is a lifesaver 90% of the time when you are working in an outlet and you're moving with your knife or whatever, and you touch one of the cables and you get down to bare wire. Instead of replacing the entire thing, you can use this. This stuff is it's liquid tape. So as you can see, it's really, really, really gooey, all right? And so once you put it on, it will dry, and it's liquid tape. So I don't know if they use it, if this is what they do for like making tape, and this is the stuff that they make it with, or what. But once you paint it on and it dries, it gives it that nice hard coating, and you don't have to worry about it. The proper wire that you want to be using with this is this, okay? It's UF-B 12.3, and we needed about, I think like 60 foot of it, but it only comes in a 50 and 100 foot roll, so I had to get a 100 foot roll. It's not cheap. This roll here in 2025 in Ohio costs $163, okay? But if you go to someplace like Menards, you get a rebate, it's going to be $145 after we mail in a rebate. So the second thing that you need if you're going to do this is you're going to need some soap, dishwashing soap. Because what we're going to do is going to take black tape, going to take the existing wire, going to hook the new wire to it with tape, and we're going to put soap in it so we can slide it through the pipe, because it's got to be able to slide, and then pull it out. Second thing that we did right with this, because we knew that we were going to have to replace this, is we put sweeping 90s at the well and at the house, and then there's a junction box at the house when it goes in. So this shouldn't be too bad, but it is, you know, re-replacing wire. So this is what a well head looks like. It's usually got 4 bolts on it. They're 7/16 inch bolts. They could be 10 millimeter, depending. You just kind of got to tap it a little bit, and it will come off. I usually lay my parts inside of it. I'm messing with it. I just lay it off to the side. This part right here, you can see, is where we had to glue everything together. Now this is still live. And what was going on last night is these caps, these wires, when we took these off, they just fell apart. So you got to be careful with these things. So you don't want to drop this stuff down in your well, because if it gets down in there, your motor could get a hold of it, try to grind it up, then you won't have any water in your house, because you're gonna have to replace that well. We dug this hole, or I dug this hole this morning. It took me a couple minutes because it's been raining around here, but I wanted to see if this was a sweeping 90, and it is. It's not a tight 90, so we're pretty good with that. But I just left the hole dug open just in case we needed it for something, because once you dig it out, you don't want to put it back together. Now right here is where we put the liquid tape on. Okay. So what was happening is, you can see down here, there's like oxidized copper. It's got this green tinge to it. So what was happening is the wire, one of these wires, I can't remember which one it was, I think it was this one here, the red one, had a little bit of the coating off of it, and it was touching the ground. So this thing was sparking and smoking, and fire was coming up. So once we turned that off, once we shut off the power, took the liquid tape and just painted it everywhere. As you can see, it's all black, so they all look like black wires. This is a white one, this is a black one, this is a red one. Now this is the junction box that we put in going to the house, and the way these things work, you just take out a couple screws, and you can see there's a wire on the inside. Now this wire is pretty tight, right? It's pretty, I don't know how to say it, it's pretty stiff. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pull this out through here, but I'm going to have to pull some in like this and then up, and I'm hoping I can hook over to that side the new wire and be able to pull this up and slide this through. But I'm going to have Susan pushing on one side when I'm pulling on this one. So all these wires are going to have to get, you know, crimped down very tight and taped up with tape. So the reason that we're pulling this at this junction box is because if we were to disconnect it inside, disconnect it outside, and start pulling it, and we got a snag, okay? It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, all right? We had some other things that we had to do before we get this done, and if we have an issue, I want to be able to pull enough wire out of here, if I can get it out, cut it, strip it, hook it to the new wire, and have that hooked across the ground to the well. And I'll put a bucket on it for the night, so that at least we'll have water tonight and tomorrow morning before we can just take it back apart, rehook it back in, and pull it back through. It's got to see what's going to happen. If we do get a snag where it is halfway through, I'll just uncoil the 100-foot cable and strip the wires on that side, and then hook that to the pump, and then, you know, we'll put a bucket over the well and everything will be fine. This is a 3-wire pump or a 4-wire pump to count the ground. It's a commercial grade pump because our well is 185 feet deep, I think. And I didn't want a pump going in there that we were just going to be like, oh, okay, well, it's going to burn up in a couple years. So. So before you start touching any wires, make sure you take a meter and make sure your volts are, nothing's there. There's nothing crossing between any of these. Ours is not, so we're good. Now remember, this is a well, so these wires are pretty stiff, and they usually are pretty stiff, but it is 185 feet down. So you want to make sure you've got these strapped on the side the best that you can. Now these are the wires here that we got to tie the new wire to, tape to, and hopefully we can slide through. Now, I was taught this a long time ago, and I'll let you guys, it's in a couple of my other videos. If you're trying to unwind this cable, the best thing to do is just walk it out like this. And we got a bucket of water and soap, because in case you get the soap on your hands, it's hard to get off. Gray casing off of here. So we're going to take your electrical pliers, your journeymans, and bend that down like this. And try to get these things hooked together like that. Now, this is the fun part.
That's not going to fit through.
I said that. And that's trying to squeeze these tight so that they'll fit through the actual pipe, which our pipe is only a 1.5 inch on the outside, so it's probably about 1 inch on the inside. Okay, we're going to try this. Now don't worry about the tape. Whatever I just folded over on this, and we're going to push down in here as with the other wire, is going to be thrown away. It's going to be cut off. All right, I'm going to go over and start pulling. Okay, so I had to go get a rag as I pulled this up. This wire has got soap on it, probably from the last time we had to put this in. All right, so there's our wire. I'm going to pull a bunch of it out of here.
Hold on a second.
All right, sorry about that, but the battery died on the camera. Happens a lot. So this wire here is now coming up and it's looping in. I'm not going to keep this looping, and I will pull this around like that, but I just want to make sure, in case we need more wire in the basement, that I can still pull it. Anything So now I'm just going to cut these here. So the electric's off on the pump. We know it is because there's no lights on it. So now the only thing you have to do is just get these wires off their poles like this. Pull them all down. Now, if there's not marked with the ground red, this one says yellow and then black. So the red and the black are going someplace, and then the white goes to the yellow outside. If they're not marked, make sure you write that down someplace. And get them in the order that you need to. So there's going to be the copper, the red, the white needs to go over here, and then the black. And just get them tightened up. I would start on the black first with this because it's the furthest away. And it's got to get behind a little plate, just like on a circuit breaker. Tighten that up. And then get the white in there, and then get the red in there. That, and then get the ground. And put them on the left side of the screw, because when you're tightening these clockwise, it's going to pull that wire up and make it tighter. Like that. I'm going to highly recommend this. This is a well, okay? So you may need to trim that wire out there by your well sometime in your future. You don't know if it's 5 years from now, it could be a year, it could be 10 years, it could be whatever. You don't know what's going to happen. So up in the corner, we're leaving about three feet of wire, just kind of spooled up, so that we can pull it back out if we need it. All right. Otherwise, we're going to have to go through this all over again. And this is really one of the only circuits I would recommend this for. Like, don't leave extra spools of wire in your wall for your outlets. It's just a waste. All right. You're never going to pull your outlet out and replace it and need more wire. All right. If you do replace it, you might need to, you're going to replace it with another outlet right there. This here is a whole different story. You may actually need more wire. I know you guys see a lot of stuff on shorts on the internet, on Facebook or YouTube or wherever it's at, of these guys in Canada that are making these loops and then hold it. They're just wasting wire, number one, and they could be causing a fire hazard. All right, this is in a big open area. This is outdoor wire, and 2 to 3 feet would be just great if you need that extra couple inches down there. So let's go back outside and wire this thing up. Okay, so on this end here, I'm going to leave some wire up because this thing's got to get connected. So I'm going to go about this far, then we're going to tuck all this down in here. And I'll show you what it means as soon as we get this done. All right, so we probably have about, 30 feet left of wire. Let's go and do this again. Okay, now that we got these guys out, we just need to do a quick strip. This here is going to be a little bit longer. Well, we'll start with a 1/2 inch, about like that. Half inch, 3/4 of an inch of wire. And these guys here look like crap. So we're going to re-strip these guys too. It's got to get them straight, because this is not enough wire to be putting a wire nut on. And yeah, the truth is you just need a little connection, but this is, maybe we get these things straight, maybe we won't need them, but straighten them out a little bit. All right, so the green and the ground go together. And the way you should be putting these things on is you should be crossing them and then braiding them. Now I know I'm going to get in the comments about, oh, you can just use a wire nut, just screw them on and they'll be fine, and I'm going to tell you what, that's not true. Because these things do not braid on their own, no matter what the packaging says. And if you do any electrical work professionally or something that needs to get inspected, they take a cap off, and if they're not braided, you will fail your inspection immediately. So that guy there, I can trim a little bit of the excess off. That, squeeze the wires together and put a cap on. Yeah, see, that cap's crap. I need another cap. Okay, that one's good. So it needs to get trimmed. You want to put these caps on until they actually start twisting the wire too. So if you're new to twisting wires, you just take them and put them at 45 degrees to each other like that, or cross them. And then make sure you grab both wires when you twist, not just one, otherwise it'll just wrap around it and that's not going to help you out. And you want to just twist them around each other like that, form a braid. And then put the cap on. And make sure you, just like I said, tighten them down till they're tight and you're doing good. Now, these guys have got to stay in this hole like this. And your cap is going to cover them, and you don't want them laying on this sharp edge. You just want it to cover them like that. Put your screws in, bolts, your nuts. Now what we need to do is go downstairs, turn it on, and test it out. Water's back on, well pump, still working. You can see it's blinking when somebody turns on the water upstairs, right? You can hear the water going through the house. Took me and Susan a couple hours to go get the wire and to get everything done, and including the filming, and that usually takes a little bit more time. If you're doing this for the first time, it may take you 3 hours, okay? Might be. But if you want to save some money and you want to start feeling pride in some of the stuff that you're doing and being able to fix things around your house, DIY, do it yourself. The wire that we bought for this wire right here, costs $163 for 100 feet of it. All right? It's the proper wire to use for it. We should have put it in 16 years ago, but you know, things like this, life gets in the way of getting things done. It just is a fact. But what I'm trying to say is, if you would have had to pay a plumber to come out here, okay, the plumber would have came out and he would have checked the well. He'd have been like, oh, well, it's not me, here's my bill. You're going to have to call an electrician because you need wire run from here out, and I can't do that because I'm not licensed. All right? Now, being that you own the home, you don't need to be licensed to work on stuff to fix in your own house. If you're building something new, you need to get it inspected, but if you're doing something like this, you more than likely don't, or don't really have to. Okay? You can if you want, that's fine. But calling an electrician in, that's going to cost you money. They're going to need someone to help them. They're going to have to pay the $163 for the wire. They're also going to have to pay the person that's helping them, and this bill probably would have been around $400 to $500. Okay, because you're not going to get, you know, oh, it's $163, so I can pay you $180. Not going to happen. So, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. There's a lot of stuff on this channel that you guys might be able to use. You're always welcome back here in the shop, and as always, have a nice day.